In today's video, I'm going to show you how to have the absolute best start in Where Winds Meet. Things that will get you very powerful from early on, and abilities that are a must-have to even gain access to some of the most important content. As always, if you find this video even a least bit useful, make sure to subscribe to the channel and let's dive right in. Now, starting right up from very early on, the game gives us the option to unlock some weapons much sooner than we normally can, depending on the choice that you make. And as you follow the main story, eventually you will reach this side of the map to what's essentially the Oddities collection guide. This is going to be a very important NPC to keep in mind, but he's going to give you a quick objective nearby to destroy some beehive, and once you're back to him, this screen will pop off right away, giving you the option between these 4 starting weapons. So this includes the Panacea Fan, aka the Healing Fan, Thundercry Blade, which is essentially our tank weapon option, but we also get Infernal Twin Blades as well as the Vernal Umbrella. However, both the Infernal Twin Blades as well as the Panacea Fan you can literally acquire very early on, not too far off from this location. So what I recommend instead is to select either of the other remaining 2, Thundercry Blade if you want to be a tank, or the Vernal Umbrella if you want to go with some more ranged DPS. However, between the 2, Vernal Umbrella is a little bit more difficult to acquire than any of the previous, so normally I would suggest that, but if instead you want to play as a tank right away, you may want the Thundercry instead. Thundercry actually enables a very strong build with some of the early on spears. I already covered a full guide on every single combination in the game if you want to check it out, but it's definitely very satisfying to play as a tank if you want to go with that route. Now for our next important unlock, we have the Heavenly Snatch. No, not that one, the one that lets you steal from other people's pockets. And in this case, not only are there entire side quests that you cannot even progress through if you lack this ability, but there are specific internal arts and even skill manuscripts that you can only grab if you steal them from NPC pockets. So in this case, if you head over to this side of the map, eventually the story will bring you to the Heaven Spear anyway, which is one of the first towns you get to go to, but if you progress up this road all the way past the nearby bridge, you should see a gathering of NPCs to the left side of the road. And in this case, on your first visit, you should find this drunk guy by the side here that you can go ahead and interact with. Once you do, he's going to literally teach you that ability right away, and from this point on, it's yours to use. However, this is not only going to be useful at stealing from NPC pockets, it's also a very strong disarm tool in combat, as you can literally use this to grab the weapons from enemies' hands and throw them back right at them, which both disarms and also stuns them momentarily, so very useful to have from this point on. From here on out, very close by, we can unlock another important ability, which is Meridian Touch. In this case, if we head over a bit further west from here to the Stonewash Strand, you can just follow the same path as I am here, going all the way into the nearby quarry, where you should encounter a whole village of NPCs turned into stone. And if you head over to the house into the back, you should see this guy that you can go ahead and interact with. And after a quick conversation, he's going to teach that ability to you right away. In this case, use whichever of the options you want to, which is eventually going to unimmobilize him. But this is going to be a very important ability to have. This is going to be useful at completing specific puzzles, even unlocking areas, especially ones in which certain NPCs have to remain in some specific poses. It's also very useful as a tool to interrupt very strong boss attacks, but more important, you're going to occasionally encounter some of these NPCs with their posture bars completely reinforced. And the thing about this is that if the posture bar is reinforced, you cannot stagger them. The only way you can destroy that is if you use Meridian Touch to remove the buff from their posture bar. So this is going to help a ton both in PvE and in PvP and in puzzles. Which brings us to the 4th unlock, and that's going to be your mount. Now early on you can pretty much get a mount from one of the starting missions or by just stealing it from any other mounted NPC and it's going to be yours. However, if you want to be a bit more deterministic in the type of horse that you get, as well as hoping for some better stats and buffs on them, you will want to head over to the Wild Mane Ranch right here a bit up north from where you started early on, because there's going to be a whole bunch of horses that you can tame, and there's a chance you may get one with some very strong bonuses. Now in this case, you will need to sneak behind them, otherwise they just get scared, and then just play a quick mini game to match the button presses to the point, either up, down, left or right, which should not be too difficult to achieve. Once done, you can then check your new acquisition and see if the new skills on it are better than the one before. For example, if you're hunting for higher speed or getting more bonuses depending on the type of terrain you go over, this can be quite helpful. And you can then sell the excess horses to a nearby merchant just a little bit further up north from the same location, make a little bit of extra profit on top. However, by far your best reversal tools will be the Lightness skills. There are multiple of them that you can eventually unlock, and these essentially give you flight. There are no flying mounts in Where Winds Meet, but your character can fly themselves if you unlock at least one of these abilities. And the earliest you're going to get is the Meteor flight, which you can grab from the Afterglow side mission right here on this side of the map to a nearby lake further west of where you started. In this case, you only need to interact with a nearby fisherman, which will immediately teach that to you after a quick sequence. There are some other feats to also achieve during that side mission, but at the end of it, you're now pretty much done and will have that ability fully unlocked. Not only will this let you fly in any direction you want to, but it's also a great repositioning tool. Let's say, for example, you have to climb a very steep mountain. This will let you reach that destination much quicker without having to constantly resort to fast traveling. You can even interrupt it midway through, so if the objective is much closer than you think it is, at any point you can just press Q and directly go to the ground, or just levitate slowly towards it and adjust accordingly. However, there is one big disclaimer I have for you, and that is in some specific regions you cannot use Lightness abilities at all until you get the specific permits or keepsake to be able to do that. Both of which you're going to acquire by progressing in the region exploration progress bar, which you can see right here from this menu. And once you reach level 4 for these regions, you will either get a keepsake like the Afterglow pendant for the first region or the flight permit for Kaifeng, both at level 4, giving you the possibility to use these Lightness skills in that specific area. And in this case, to unlock more of the area exploration, you literally have to do just that. Find new places, unlock fast travel points, open up chests, complete side missions and other objectives, and you're going to progress through this really quickly. Level 4 is not going to take quite that long. Anyway, let's keep on going, and eventually we're going to want to unlock some weapons. However, before we get to do that, there's an important ability that we really need, and that's going to be the Touch of Death, aka Instant Assassinations. And to unlock this, you will need to complete a quick side mission that you're going to find right here at the castle in the Verdant Wilds. You should see it popping up on the map pretty much the moment you load into the open world, but before level 10 it's something that you can head over and complete right away. In this case, in the main courtyard, once defeated all the enemies and bosses, pay attention to the chest the side of the arena, as that's going to give you one of the first clues. In this one, you just have to fire up 2 of the nearby braziers, so the first one will be literally right next to the chest, meanwhile the second one will be slightly to your left side here by this wall. So if you just follow the same route as I am, going up these stairs, you should see it right over here. Go ahead, interact with it, and that's going to now open up everything you need, which is now going to bring up this platform into the middle, go over it, jump up, press Q, and that's going to press the button, opening up the area below. Now, as you make your way inside, eventually you're going to reach a room with a big statue inside, and you will find the clue for the next puzzle right here, basically giving you all of the signs on a wall that you need to have active to open up the last and final bit. So simply make your way in this other room with the next statue, interact with it, and now pay attention to all of the buttons on the wall. In this case, you need to keep active only the ones that you have in the clue that we just talked about. So match the symbols on the wall with that, and that's going to open up the next door, giving you access to one of the final areas. Once you go to the final room, you should see this treasure chest, open it up, and that's going to give you both the Touch of Death scroll as well as a whole bunch of other rewards too. And this is both going to be useful at unlocking the weapons in the next section, but also in PvE, as you can more easily clear out targets if you like sneaking around. It's not like the stealth is too complex in this game, but it can help as the damage by default on this ability is extremely high. Which now brings us to one of the first important weapons we can grab, and that's going to be the Panacea Fan. This is going to be your healing offhand weapon through the entire leveling stage, as it's very strong to have. So from level 1 to level 60, this is one of your best options for instantaneous and spammable healing. It's going to help a ton in fights as well as in boss encounters, so that you don't constantly have to craft and consume medicine. So in this case, you're going to find it via a skill theft, but also if you join the specific faction that has it. However, it's quickest if you head over to the skill theft right here, very close to the nearby oddities vendor. You will, however, need a dragon key for this. Not all skill thefts require a dragon key, and you can get these via various means, even from completing outposts on the first time, skill thefts from other missions that don't require dragon keys, all the way to breakthrough level 2. By this point, you should already have it, so by level 8 to 10, you should have a dragon key that you can slot in and open up the area. And in this case, you will have to sneak through a whole bunch of guards. That is why the Touch of Death here will help a lot, so you can dispatch them much quicker. And you're going to find the skill theft location into the second room here. Going all the way up the scaffolding, you should notice a blue circle in which you can stand, then spy on the master that uses the ability. In this case, once you're done with the mini game, this is going to unlock the martial arts for the Panacea Fan, and now you can also equip a Panacea Fan and use all of its abilities. However, I still recommend you linger by a little bit and instead make your way back into the first room. Pay attention to this ladder here to the left side, climb it, and navigate the nearby scaffolding all the way into the room to the back. Here you can then eventually jump down, and once you've taken down the enemies, you can retrieve the final largest chest in the area. What this is going to do is essentially this will give you a Royal Remedy Legendary Internal Art. So this increases the healing effect of the water clone created by the Panacea Fan, so basically your martial arts skill. It's going to help a ton if you want a bit more healing, if you don't have other better internal arts in the meantime. Speaking of internal arts, this is another important point of progression for your character. There are many passive buffs here that perfectly synergize and augment your martial arts skills, aka your weapons. And I will show you a few options early on, starting with one of the best in the game, that is going to be the Morale Chant. This is going to be a universal buff, so many builds use it, as it provides both increased in physical damage and a healing stacking buff, so any build out there can make use of it. And in this case, you can simply purchase the 10 pages you need to unlock this from a merchant early on, right here from the Blissful Retreat waypoint. So if you pay attention to the right side of the road, the merchant should be right in front of you. Head over and simply purchase the 10 pages over here in exchange for about 5,000 Echo Jade. Echo Jade is a resource that you get from explorations, opening up chests, finding new areas, so it's not that hard to get, and by this stage you should have plenty of to acquire all of them. Keep in mind that you can also further upgrade this, which is going to give you access to its own skill tree with even bigger benefits, more bonuses, more physical damage. So overall, this is something you will want to focus on. And specifically, what you will need for that is more Morale Chant notes. And if you press on the item, it will show you many other ways in which you can obtain this in. Some of this includes simply purchasing more of them from vendors. Like, for example, there's one south over here in Kaifeng that you can make use of for 200 Echo Jade per piece, but there are other even more straightforward. For example, as you defeat enemies, complete content, and even take down bosses, you will also get internal art note chests. So in this case, you can open those up, add a chance of getting some of these notes as well, not just for Morale Chant, but for others as well. In addition to this, we've got the tips exchange. From internal arts menu, we can go straight to it, and there's even a recycle option. So if there are notes that you no longer need, you can recycle them into some of these booklets, which we can then funnel into more tome chests we can buy straight from this menu over here. On top of that, we can also use more direct approaches, such as the path trials. So if you head over to the specific path trial for your current build, you will notice that there are easy challenges to complete here, like upgrading your gear in that specific category. And eventually, if you get the 12 and the 18 challenge tracks done, you will get 5 and another 5 respectively that will cover at least one level. Plus other options too, so you can level at least one time in the breakthrough mechanic. But it goes the same for others too. Another one you can get early on is also the sword morph. Like I said before, this is going to be something you can just follow from the menu. If you press the menu button next to it, it should show you which side mission you need to complete to unlock this. And once you're done with it, this can be a very strong option for the nameless sword. In essence, it's going to give you a power up to your charge heavy ability, so instead of unleashing one single energy wave, you get to unleash 3 of them for some massive increase in damage. But pretty much every other weapon has its own version as well, so depending which one you pick, you can just press on these and they will show you the exact location where you need to unlock them in. Which also brings us to another internal art I recommend, and that's going to be the Better Seasons. It's going to be quite helpful in the leveling stage, both because it gives a damage over time poison, but also because during that it reduces enemies' physical defenses. So this is something that you're going to get from the Gleaming Abyss right here on this side of the map, southwest of the starting region. In this case, you will need to head over exactly where I am right here. So it's going to be a cave opening with 3 statues you will see in the vicinity. But initially, these guys will be moving when you get close to them, and this means you cannot open the door. So what you have to do is essentially stay further back, let them get into position, and then use the immobilize from your Meridian Touch to hold them in that position, which is then going to open up the door and let you go inside. And in this case, you're going to need to make your way all the way at the bottom, specifically until you will see this location with a small little path that's initially going to be blocked. But if you get close to it, it will show you 3 nearby stag, I guess ghosts that you can interact with to progressively unlock that area. So in this case, the first one will be literally to the left side of the entrance, interact with it, and that's going to immediately do it for you. For the second one, just go the opposite side. Next to the water, you should see 2 NPCs with 2 linen braziers on the opposite end. In this case, you will have to use that fire arrow, like I said before, to destroy the nearby branches, which is now going to open up the path, which if you follow all the way at the end, you can pretty much complete it, and that's going to be the second trial. Meanwhile, for the third and final one, when you make your way back via the same jumping platforms, if you pay attention to this small gap opening, this is going to bring you inside of a small cavern, and then pay attention to the left side as it's going to show a path upwards. Following it will bring you to the other side of the branches, interact with the NPC, and now pretty much you're done with the whole area. The only thing remaining is to make your way back, go up the path, and this is now going to let you interact with a coffin that will bring you to a brand new location. Once you clear some of the enemies here, you're going to want to grab 3 portions of a stag skull. So the first part is going to be the skull itself, which you're going to get here from the side next to this chest. That's going to be 1 out of 3. For the next one, you're going to need to make your way further deep into the cave itself, all the way until you reach this sort of bridge area. Once you defeat the 2 enemies, you should look across onto the opposite side, as there is a small jumping point you can reach. To get to it, actually, you will need to destroy this set of branches once again by setting them on fire, which will cause the plank to fall. Simply follow the path all the way through. Both of the remaining antlers will be in this location, so you can easily retrieve them without any problem. Just make sure that you interact with the skulls that you find near the ghosts. Once you're done, you can head over back at the wall at the back of the cave, slot all of them in, and that's going to open up the last area, which will now open up a new boss fight that's also repeatable, so you can now just farm this on repeat with a daily energy and get even more chances at gear as well as items. But on the first completion, the boss also drops the Divine Roulette Tome, which will give you access to the internal art with the same name. So whenever you perform a successful deflection, there's a chance you will get one of the 3 following bonuses: either 10% extra damage to the next skill, guaranteed critical, or guarantee affinity hit for 10 seconds on a 30-second cooldown, which is actually really nice. However, for the final art, you will need to actually progress through the fog after the boss fight, which will bring you to the opposite side that previously was unreachable. And in this case, there are 2 paths here at the junction. If you take the one to the right side, there is a quick interaction here that you can have for some extra dialogues and of course some lore completion. However, if you also make your way back and then use the path to the left instead, this will bring you to the same house that you saw from the other side of the river. And inside, if you interact with the chest, this is going to give you the Bitter Seasons, which is that damage over time poison and enemy physical defense debuff I was talking about previously. So very strong, and once again, these will provide you both damage over time and many more benefits too if you further invest into their skill tree. And that pretty much concludes today's video with all of the best unlocks you should get early on. Of course, there are many more, so if you want to see some of the best internal arts and mystic arts, totally let me know in the comments. We can definitely go over every single one of them as we progress further in the game. In the meantime, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.